Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the top 5 rogue recommendations I have for you for the February 2021 format. You can also take a look at the rogue video I did for January. That did come out at the end of January when set 12 released. So those decks are all still very viable in terms of playing rogue decks in this meta. A few of them actually may arguably be bumped up to a meta spot if you want to take a look at that. Probably Launch and Vegex. But anyways, today's 5 more recommendations for rogue decks. If you guys are new here, definitely subscribe, hit that bell to miss a video. If you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways down in the description to do so. Particularly today, if you want to buy any of the cards you see in today's video, use my link in the description to TCG Player. It does help out quite a bit. That being said, let's jump into the first deck here. We have Blue Baby. Okay, blue is definitely the most underplayed color of this format. If I had to rank the colors, I would say that black, red, and yellow are at the top right now. Green is slightly underneath all of that, and then blue is somewhere at the bottom, both in terms of representation and arguably in terms of power. Now, to say blue is the weakest doesn't mean that I think blue is unplayable, and I think Blue Baby is a good pick for this meta. I mean, just take a look at Scott Dashy's profile, which is here on the channel from just a few weekends ago at the Connecticut PPT qualifier event. He ended up getting top 4 with Blue Baby. It obviously was a good pick, especially for him in that environment where there are a lot of high caliber players. So Blue Baby, what does it have going for it? Well, blue, we already know the staples blue has, which are quite good. Dimension Magic, amazing card. Godsling Technique Trunks, amazing card. Baby Unison, constant +1s, as well as giving your leader game-ending power, amazing card. But one of the cards that allows Blue Baby to be well poised for the format is definitely SS2 Trunks Heroic Prospect. Now, this is a tougher card to obtain, so if you don't already have this, like maybe you are a blue player at heart that already has this Trunks because you've invested in previous blue decks, that would be a great reason to try and look at Baby. Trunks is a difficult card to get, so I understand if it's not really in your budget for building a new rogue deck, but it is one of the cards that allows Blue Baby to be really well poised in the meta. Trunks, as we know, it stops the attacks of bigger battle cards that cost more than your opponent's energy. So just in the current format, that's going to be really good against Red Broly in the early turns. That's going to be really good against Dark Broly for most of the game. Random things you might see like green Gotenks and other things is cheat in big battle cards, which we know that a lot of decks in modern DBS do this. Nice thing about Blue Baby, though, is that you don't have to wait till turn 3. I think Soul Striker is another good blue deck, but one of the problems with Soul Striker, you gotta wait till turn 3 to really effectively use Heroic Prospect. Baby, because of its field card, can use Heroic Prospect on turn 2 by reducing the cost of Trunks by 1. Speaking in that same vein, another really good thing I think Baby has going for it is 1 energy Mafuba. Mafuba's always been a card that's been decent in side decks depending on the format, but one of the biggest drawbacks to it was always that it costs 2 energy. In Baby, Mafuba costing 1, especially against decks like Red Broly, and even against like Dark Broly, when they're trying to go for their Heartfelt play, if they attack with the Unbridled Destruction Broly, you Mafuba it, you've really shut down a lot of the tempo of their turn. So I really do think that this deck is pretty well poised going into the meta as a good rogue deck. It could be the one deck that kind of allows people to play mono blue and maybe start to experiment with that, and then maybe different things will branch off from there in terms of the kind of revival of mono blue, but I guess that will remain to be seen. Next up, we're talking about green something. So I think green, like I said before, it's under that top echelon of power, not by too much, but I do think it's under that top echelon of power. And I don't exactly think the best green deck has been discovered, but I do think there are a lot of options that offer really unique things. Starting with Gotenks, I mean, this is a deck that a lot of players choose to play because it does get you into top cut. Not to say that it's a mindless deck to play, but the cards inside the deck are quite good, and it does allow you to kind of navigate through a tournament with a little more ease than some other picks you might have. So for instance, just talking about Grim Reaper Gotenks, that card's a huge 25k dual attacking deflect bomb. It pluses you incredibly hard when you play it, coupled with your Unison that draws you for fusing, and then when it dies, you get your Gotenks pieces back. It's just very plus. The boss monster is quite good. One thing I've noticed with Gotenks, though, I have been testing it in more recent weeks, and it does feel kind of bad when you don't have access to Grim Reaper. I mean, in all honesty, your deck doesn't do a whole lot when you can't play a Grim Reaper. So that's if like you've been through several Grim Reapers and you're still having a hard time getting through the game, and that can happen with things like Violent Rays, that can happen with things like Heroic Prospect Trunks. But besides that, sometimes you don't draw all the pieces and your deck kind of gets stuck a little bit. But I do think Gotenks is a good pick if you want to just kind of, you know, get into the top cut, maybe not necessarily win events, but if you like Gotenks, you like the theme, it is a very good rogue pick. But then we have more generic green decks like Clash Goku, like Dredge Goku. I think both are solid picks for generic green. When Set 11 came out, Majin Vegeta and Gotenks kind of changed green in the sense that pure generic green good card deck wasn't as good as Gotenks or Majin Vegeta. But now with like Draft Box 6 and some of the more recent green cards, I think mono green good stuff is just as good as like Gotenks or Majin Vegeta. So I think just finding the best generic green leader for those strategies is going to be quite good. You could play Clash Goku. He offers you great filter. He offers you a nice beefy double strike on the backside. You do have to play some Krillins, but that's pretty easy to do considering the Krillins are pretty much, you know, cantrip draw ones. And besides that, you have Dredge Goku, which does offer you a board wipe. Now, what's kind of interesting is like in set 10, the board wipe that Dredge Goku offered wasn't always super relevant. I remember many players saying like, yeah, it didn't really use this effect too much because critting 2 life honestly is pretty tough. And it all depends on how easy it is for your opponent to reinvest into a board. Like if they can, you know, repopulate a board super easily, honestly, that board wipe's going to put you in more danger than help you, I think. But anyways, I do think they are good generic green leaders. You got to just find the good green cards to play in your deck that help combat the meta, and you'll be good to go. Then there's OG Broly. Has a lot of support. We know it's getting more support in Evolution Booster, so this is probably just a good early pickup deck. Like if you already have Dormants and you already want to try and, you know, invest in this green strategy because you know it's getting more support. And honestly, I think the Bandai developers for this game just love Broly because Broly decks are always good. At least Broly BR decks are always good. And it seems like OG Broly just always seems to get support. So it seems like a good investment to pick up, especially if you like green. Next up, let's talk about Whis. We know the top yellow deck right now is Mecha Frieza. No one's really arguing that. But I do think Whis has some untapped potential. I mean, it does a lot of things for free. It provides a lot of value. Basically, when you combo a skillless guy on defense, you get to play it. That is great value there. Your one-drop Whis allows you to draw cards when you combo skillless battle cards, both offensively and defensively. That's quite good. One of the main things I like about this deck is Vados Cosmic Aid, and that's for several reasons. One, it is a more tanky unison. It's the only unison in the game that allows you to combo when it's attacked. So that allows you to combo a skillless from the dropper hand, and then your leader effect will just allow you to play it. That's obviously a very great synergy there. But the other thing I like about Vados Cosmic Aid is that once you invest the 2 energy into her, she is a 0 energy way, you know, turns 3 and beyond, to play Bergamo Ferocious Roar. One of the most powerful things you can do in yellow is for 0 energy, Ferocious Roar, and tap your opponent out and then go for game. You know, tapping all their energy out, tapping out any of their blockers, tapping out maybe some of their combo power. That's going to be a really powerful thing you can do. And in most yellow decks, you have to attack to combo with a Zamasu or do some other type of activate battle resting in order to get Bergamo into play. But with Vados, she's basically a way your opponent has no reaction to in order to trigger Ferocious Roar, which I do think is a very, very strong thing. So I think, you know, with Whis, you got to find the correct mixture of, you know, his own archetype and engine stuff with the EX Evolved Gokus and Vegetas, the skillless Gokus and Vegetas, the different Whis cards you might play, as well as the just good generic yellow stuff. I think there is a good combination to be found. I think Whis is a pretty solid rogue deck. Next up, guys, let's talk about Gogeta Xeno. This is a deck that I've really enjoyed testing. I did test it more so like at the early reveals of set 12. I honestly have dropped this deck more so for Dark Broly. And if you're looking at a black deck, Dark Broly is probably the better pick, but I do think Gogeta has some stuff going for it. The whole Weenie Rush thing is actually quite good. The deck does play pretty aggressively for very, very low cost, which is really nice. One of the main weenies in the deck that actually is going to, you know, help propel you into a lot of winning games is going to be Goku True Fighting Spirit. Between all the different decks, counters are incredibly relevant, whether it's counter play, whether it's counter attack. You know, for instance, sometimes your deck can be affected by violent raids because you do have some 20k and higher attacking battle cards, especially when you use Pycon to bump them up by 10k if they're on your one drops. But Goku can punish that. So your opponent using violent raise and losing 2 cards instead of 1, that can actually help you win out a grindier game. Same thing against yellow. They use Nimbus, you punish them hard for that. Think about all these counters that require your opponent to discard, and imagine you just said to your opponent, okay, your discard cost is now 2 instead of 1. That is a really cool thing I think the deck has going for it. I still like my Power Ranger version that is here on the channel from probably a month ago at this point. If you want to check it out, maybe I'll do an updated Gogeta profile sometime in the near future, but I do like this deck as a rogue pick. And finally, guys, I want to talk about Beerus, more so just like red-blue stuff. I do got to shout out Brian Samuel once again because he took a deck that I am very, very interested in and did incredibly well with it in the Super Players Online event. That profile is on Super Players channel if you want to see, you know, the deck itself that he played. But what's really cool is he took a red leader that he liked, he took Beerus, and just put blue-red stuff in it, and I really, really like that. I think Beerus Mind Obliterator is an incredibly powerful card. It's almost like a mini Zeno button, which we know Zeno button is currently banned, so being able to emulate that on a smaller scale we know is going to be probably pretty good. Cooler Tyrannical Assault is a beast of a card in this format. You know, we're in such a battle card reliant meta, and you know, being able to string multiple coolers or even just reduce the power of certain battle cards during the battle step is such an insane thing. And then for draw power, this is kind of the toughie here. He did play Force Great Ape Son Goku Saiyan Instincts to kind of supplement the draw power, because on your leader's backside you don't have inherent draw, but he did actually value the removal of Beerus very, very highly, which I do think is a good effect. And then he did play some red yellow cards to make use of that activate battle on Beerus's backside. But anyways, guys, those are going to be my recommendations for rogue decks for February. I do want to know in the console what you think. Again, do check out the video for January, because I do think those decks are also very, very good playable rogue decks. Again, some are even meta. So thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time.